No, I think it's important that actually practices who have been used to having control over their money for years and managing it and running their own businesses continue to be able to do that. To that end, each bank practice will have its own bank account and will retain the ability to write cheques, pay the window cleaner if they want, and actually manage their own finances on a day-to-day basis. But what we can offer on top of that is a central finance team that can do chasing of late payments for you, that can actually take over some of your regular payments that are going out. So taking on some of the work that you don't want to do. But the important thing is that the practice retains its autonomy. Yes, if you have a local bank account, there is no reason why we cannot have petty cash as well. And as with all good accounting methods, it will have to be accounted for and we'll have to know where it goes, much as you currently have to know where your petty cash is and where it goes and where it's accounted for. As long as we have the systems right, that is all absolutely fine. It makes sense to have petty cash. We have to run our practices. We have to have ways to pay things quickly sometimes. If you take that away from practices, you make them more difficult to run, and that is not our intention. Our intention is always to make things easier.
It's not unheard of, is it? And one of the ideas of having OHP as a bank account in its own right is to have a good bank serving it with working capital, which is far beyond any individual practice would be able to have. So in effect, if you're running into trouble as an individual practice, you should be able to be served by the central structure to be able to make those payments and have your own drawings.
And hopefully we'll also be able to get loans at preferential rates because of the size of our organisation. So hopefully if we have to lend or borrow, it'll be much cheaper because of that large overdraft facility we may have.
Yes, you will. In the new organisation, in our health partnership, you'll be able to pay people how you want to. The way I see it is that there'll be a lot of money coming through our health partnership to all of the different practices, and then the practice will then spend that money. But of course, if you want to, that flow can be slightly interrupted, and some of those payments can be made for you by our health partnership. But you'll still have cash flow so that you can use that as you see fit.
The idea is that you've all, as individual practices, got your own local operating agreements in the form of partnership agreements, and you've probably spent a long time working it for yourselves. The idea is that that being quality work should continue, and that will be your local operating agreement to carry on.
I mean, I think we might be able to modify these in the future if we have to, but we'll have that facility to do that if we don't have an operating agreement in place already. So I think we'll be able to provide a list of things that need to be talked through, and we can draft one up if that's necessary.
So for surgeries joining our health partnership that own their own premises, they're not going to need a new lease with the larger and new organisation.
We're in the process of setting up potentially the UK's largest single GP partnership, and that will involve a transition in which we're going to have some setup costs. But beyond that, we're going to be looking towards making savings, as well as having income come to us. So in terms of the £2 per head, so to speak, initially it is suggested as that, but actually once we've got this set up in the first year, we're going to offer it to all the partners to say, well look, this is what we've made and drafted, it's a proposal, what do you think? And hopefully the direction of travel is more income, less expense.
Absolutely, and I think it's important that we do ask our members what they want us to do, so they'll absolutely be involved in that decision making process.
Yes, we are going to have a buying group for those practices that wish to participate as part of a range of offers that we can give to practices to make savings. Local identity is key. We have all worked within Birmingham in widely differing practice populations, who all have different needs. And actually many of our practices have been around for decades, and we have built them up over decades to serve our local population in the way that they need, in the way that suits us, our staff and our patients. And all our practices work. It makes no sense to change that. You run your practice in the way that your practice needs to be run, and actually it would be foolish of anyone to come in and say, no, that's not right. Local autonomy. You make the decision on how your practice is run is core to this model. Realistically, the only change a member of staff should see is their employer should change. Their terms and conditions shouldn't change. The place they're employed by shouldn't change. Actually, the partners of their local practice stay in control of their employment. Nothing should change. We are not intending to make any major changes to the staff at all. And I think that's the big message, is no change, other than we will now be employed by our health partnership. As a regular member of staff, no, we are not going to change your pay. Your pay will stay as it is now. We don't have any intention of changing your leave. Your holiday entitlement will stay exactly as it is now. And on day one, we have no intention of changing the day you will be paid. While we have absolutely no intention on day one of changing the date of pay for any of our staff, it may well be that as we move on with the organisation over the next few months and years, it becomes apparent that it is sensible to pay everyone on the same day. However, if we do this, we will make sure that no one is disadvantaged by it at all, and we support all our staff through the process.
I think the very basis of our formation has always suggested autonomy is key to what we're trying to offer, and we recognise within the pool of 180 partners that have joined, there's masses of talent. There's also skills that are worth accessing in practice managers and not just GPs. So bringing all that together, we're going to want to utilise each of those things from each of those practices, and each one will have its own flavour. Each thing will contribute to the recipe, and I think that's what we want to do, is to keep your own autonomy but to extract the best and spread that out so that we are growing as OHP.
I think we have to feel comfortable with what we're doing, and I think the rate of how much you interact will also kind of be at your own pace, and I don't think we want to force you into doing anything. I think we all need to feel comfortable with the rate of progress that we make. Hopefully we'll get all the benefits of the autonomy and the individual practices that you offer your patients, but then hopefully we're also going to get another bite of the cherry from the corporate stuff that we're doing, and you're going to receive those benefits otherwise.
That's a good point. I mean, just thinking about how GPs work, and they all have their own ways of working, and we'll respect that. And that bringing that together will certainly add to the whole mix, and we'll certainly learn from each other as well.